Hello, I'm Bill LeMay, and thank you for watching Community Matters. We hope you'll continue to watch as we discuss issues facing our community and provide you with the resources and information needed to find solutions. This week, we're talking about divorce, specifically how to keep it out of the courtroom. And later in the show, we'll speak with a marriage counselor. But joining me now to tell us about the collaborative divorce process are Jeff Siegel and Christie of Separating Together in Raleigh. Thanks to both of you for being here today.
Thank you, Bill. Nice to be here.
Let's start with something real basic, like how many people get divorced? I thought it was about that 50% mark. Is it still that bad?
It still is, unfortunately. But
yeah, that's a lot of people.
It is.
And it's a process that you've worked with clients. It's very emotional, isn't it?
Yes, it can be very emotional depending on where people are when they come to see us.
Well, let's talk about the collaborative divorce process. That's the first time I've heard of it. What is it?
Separating Together allows people to come together to resolve their issues, and people have certain issues they have to resolve in separating and divorce, and allows them to do that without going to court. Each person is going to have their own attorney, and they sit together over a series of conversations, really, to come up with resolution to the issues that bring them to the table.
Well, maybe you can, Christie, walk me through the process a little bit. You got two people, and it's usually very emotional, and there's a lot at stake, whether it be kids or finances. How does that process work? How do you get two individuals who are quite emotional to talk to one another?
Well, it's interesting. One spouse will usually find us because we're not as, the collaborative process is not as well known as Jeff and I would like anyway. And then often two spouses will come and go through an orientation session where we explain to them the broad strokes of the collaborative process and how that might work for them in their situation. So after that, they'll typically select an attorney that they would like to work with, and as Jeff mentioned, we have a series of conversations that help them resolve the legal issues, although as you rightly pointed out, there's a lot of other things that come along with reaching resolution.
You mentioned choosing your attorneys, and it is important that they each have their own attorney looking after it. How do you choose an attorney? Because it's usually a time in one's life where you're emotional. A lot of times you don't even see it coming for a lot of folks. How do you choose a good attorney? What questions should you be asking?
You know, this is really somebody who you're going to work with intimately. So it is important that, in my mind, it's more important that you connect with them on a real nice basis to trust that this person is going to protect you as you go through the process and help you speak properly. So I think that, you know, there's a lot of places you can go out there and research, obviously the internet nowadays. You're looking for somebody who has experience. Collaborative is a little different in that you need a different type of experience when you go through the collaborative process. So it's not just your knowledge of the law, but it's your knowledge of communication and how you're going to help this person articulate what's important to them as they go through the process.
How do you negotiate with someone that you're ending a relationship with? I get the big screen TV, you get the couch. Do you get down to that level of negotiation, Christie? Is that what happens?
Typically in our process, the people who come to us are really trying very hard to do the right thing in a very difficult situation. And often there are children involved, and so they are working very hard not only to move forward for themselves, but to do so in a way that's respectful to the relationship that they've had and to set them up for successful co-parenting in the future. So for things like separating personal belongings, a lot of the time we don't end up sparsing those fine issues. We kind of deal with the bigger issues and the harder work, and most folks are able to negotiate those things, not in a legal sense, but get through that without our assistance, although sometimes they need our help, and if they do, we'll certainly help them through it.
The upside of this process versus the traditional, what are the, I can see where this might be cheaper, but it might also, in the long run, with kids involved, it might be a better way to go.
Well, I mean, they're really the issues that bring you to the table that are so emotional. And we are working hard to get them to work through it amicably. We're also role modeling a different way to negotiate. So that our hope is that by the end of the process, they're not going to call us every week. They're not going to call us 6 months later. They're going to know how to negotiate those issues. So part of it is the different negotiating model that we use to help them get through those tough issues.
It's a tough time if you're going through it, and I know a lot of our viewers have gone through that. And this would be certainly something you should be considering. In fact, we're going to come back with more from Jeff and Christie from Separating Together when we come back right after this. So don't go anywhere.